Welcome. Glad you're here today. We're going to be going through a lesson on beginning air rifle target shooting. And this is a very safe sport, very fun sport. To be fun and to be safe, we do have to follow a few safety rules. So we're going to jump into those in just a few minutes. This lesson is our target shooting safety and range setup lesson. So we're going to go through all of that. So if you look down range, you can see on the curtain down there, you can see we have our 4 primary air rifle safety rules. Number 1, always keep the muzzle in a safe direction. I'm going to pick up a rifle and demonstrate to you the muzzle and a safe direction. Safe direction can be up or down range. We'll talk more about that as we start handling the rifles themselves. Number 2, always keep your finger outside of the trigger guard until you're ready to shoot. This is the trigger guard. This is the trigger inside. When we're holding it, we want to keep it outside, our finger outside of the trigger guard, either wrapped completely around the grip or pointed off to the side like this. Number 3, always positively identify your target. Check both in front of and behind for safety. Your target is what you see down there at the end of the range. So we always want to know what's in front of it and what's behind it for safety's sake. And then number 4, always keep your safety on until ready to shoot. On these Embark rifles, the safety is here, and it can be pulled out to be safe with the S, and then pushed in to be in the firing position with nothing showing but a red dot. All right, we're going to always keep them on safe until we're ready to shoot. We're going to talk about the carry that we're going to use at all times, and it's called the two-handed ready carry. We use 2 hands, and we carry just like this with the rifle close to our body. And again, if we are walking, up is the safe direction. When we get on the shooting line, downrange is a safe direction. We always want to be aware of our muzzle, but this is a two-handed ready carry. Another thing we're going to do to maintain safety on the range is we're going to wear safety glasses. Everyone on the range will have some sort of eye protection. And it can be either a pair of safety glasses that are rated for the safety that we use here on the air range, which is a Z87, and you'll find that stamped on the side of the earpiece. Or if you wear glasses, prescription glasses, those are fine as well. Also, when we're wearing these, we will wear them the entire time, not just when you're shooting. When you are downrange from the spectator line, you will be wearing safety glasses, whether you're in the waiting area, in the shooting area, on the shooting line, or downrange. You will always have those glasses on. Typically on a shooting range, a firearm creates enough noise that we need ear protection. Air rifles create a lower decibel, so on this range, ear protection is an option. A few hygiene rules we also need to cover to maintain safety is that drinking and eating is only allowed off the range. Also, if you wear anything that is loose, such as jewelry, or if you have long hair, those need to either be removed or tied back. When we're taking shots, shots should only be taken at our target that is lined up with our shooting station. That way we avoid a ricochet. When we shoot the air rifle on the range, we'll be using whistle commands. And we'll talk more about those whistle commands later. But I want to talk to you about one that helps us keep safe, and it's the 5-blast emergency whistle. And it goes 5 to 10 times, which means to stop everything you're doing immediately because there is some emergency somewhere on the line. And when that happens, you want to go to a rifle-ready position. The rifle-ready position is the two-handed carry that we mentioned earlier with the barrel broken over, the finger off the trigger, and the safety in the safe position. And stand on the line while the instructor is figuring out the emergency, and they will tell you more instructions later on. However, safety is everybody's concern, and safety is everybody's responsibility. So if one of you happen to see an unsafe situation on the line and don't have a whistle, you usually call cease fire, and you call it loud. And a good rule of thumb is if you hear cease fire, you repeat cease fire. And it means the same thing as a 5-whistle blast. Also, when you're on the line and the instructors are trying to figure things out, if it goes longer than necessary, all shooters will then take their rifle and place it on the floor with the muzzle pointing downrange and leave the range. That's if the range needs to be cleared to clear the emergency. When setting up a range, we first need to analyze the location. First need to see if it is going to suit our needs. It needs to be big enough. It needs to be 30 feet by 65 at a minimum. And so we need to have enough room to put our range into this area. We also need to look at downrange, what's behind the targets. If we have doors behind there that can be opened from the outside, we need to make sure those are locked and signed with a sign that hopefully keeps everybody out of there. And then if we have other doors, we need to check those and do the same thing. We also want to look downrange and see if there's any equipment or anything that might get hit with a pellet. We want to keep the downrange safe. If we were outdoors and setting up a range outside, we'd want to have our range set up so that we could see far enough if anyone was coming into the range, so we could close the shooting down, or we could just keep the range safe, keeping all the people around us safe. So we wouldn't want to be setting between two buildings or around a lot of trees. We wanted to be somewhere out in the open where we could see clearly. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the range setup. So I want to start at the target area, so we're going to move down the range. First thing we're going to look at is our net backstop. And this net is 30 feet wide, and it's 8 to 10 feet tall. We need to have it that tall, and we need to be using structures that will hold the weight of the net. When we hang our net, we want it to be draped with some wrinkles and some billowing to it so that it will better stop a pellet. Also down on the floor, we want to make sure that it has at least 5 to 6 inches on the floor so that any pellet that might hit the floor and go toward the net is stopped by the net. The next thing we're going to look at is our target holders. Our target holders are set at equal distance along the net, no further than 30 inches from the net. That is in case we have a ricochet off of a target holder, it still hits the net instead of going over the net. The next thing we have is our target line. Our target line is to stop the shooters as they come down to look at their targets and allow them all to look at targets without bunching up around the targets. So this is set 2 meters from the face of the target to the target line. The next line we come to is our shooting line. And our shooting line is 10 meters from the target face all the way down the range. Our next line is the waiting line. This is where your shooters will wait before their turn to go shoot. This line must be 4 meters from the shooting line. And then our last line is the spectator line. And the spectator line should be another 4 meters from the waiting line. So if you ever want to set up an outdoor range, the blue tape, painter's tape, won't stick on the ground or on an asphalt area, so you're going to have to use something else for the lines. You might want to use chalk or surveyor paint or a rope if that's what you have. If you use a rope, you want to be able to keep it loose so that we prevent any tripping hazards. Let's talk about equipment, where we're going to store it and how we're going to use it. We keep our pellets in a locked box at all times, and those are always controlled by the instructor. We pass them out as needed. We keep our rifles in a locked hard case as well, and those are also good to keep in a room that has minimal entrance to it so that they can be kept safe. You'll have to follow the policy of your school district to see what you need to do with those rifles and pellets. When we take our rifles out of the cases on the range, we want to make sure that the case is set so that the muzzles are pointed in a safe direction when we open the case, as these are here. When we pull them out, we want to break the action and check it for any obstruction by looking into the breech end. Make sure the safety is on, and then holding it in a two-handed carry, we want to walk it to the rack and place it safely on the rack. Last two pieces of equipment we have are here between the shooting line and the waiting line, and that's our rifle racks. That's where we store the rifles while we're in the shooting practice. And then also we have the pellet stands where we put all the pellets that the shooters will use at each station. Last thing I want to talk to you about is possession of equipment. The students should only be using the program equipment, rifles and all other equipment, during a school session.